Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Gotti, and
Chase Gullett Guitar Co.
You just jumped right in there, didn't you, Bosco?
wow, he's a he's like a guest, and he's on it.
Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, guess who we have on the
I
show?
thought it was a pass to the left kind of thing.
It's just the jump to the left.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. It does mean the world to us. We are truly thankful for your listenership, for your support, mentally or otherwise.
And emotionally.
And emotionally or otherwise. Mentally and emotionally or otherwise.
Or otherwise.
Yes. Yeah, right. That's the thing.
Who are you?
I already said it. I just said it. Weren't you? I'm right here. Were you not listening? What's going on?
What is your name?
Hey, everybody. I already did that. Anyways, we got a great show because as he just mentioned, Chase Gullett's on the show.
Yes.
Of Gullett Guitar Co.
Yes.
Who we reference all the time.
Yes.
A great Ohio builder here in Ohio. I felt obliged to say that.
Well, that's really interesting that Ohio Builder would be from Ohio.
Yes. Well, and that we're in Ohio. Yeah. Which is
I
crazy.
say it
What?
60% of the time, every time.
Yeah. You know what's weird? Not being a native Ohioan. Now that even now that I am, I've been here 12 years. It is so strange because almost every single movie or TV show that I'm watching, they reference somebody being from Ohio. It is it's crazy. It's like, where's this person from? Oh, they're from Ohio. Just write them in as Ohio.
Well, we are the best of the flyover states.
Is it? Yeah, are we? Yeah. I feel like it is the belly button, though. Everything kind of cinches up into Ohio a little bit. Let's get into a couple things. Now, Chase, what you were about to ask Tony is, what can people expect from this show if this may be their first time listening?
Well,
Tony, why don't you go ahead and answer?
No, I want Chase to ask. Come on, Chase. Say the words.
a lot of guitar talk.
Yes. And?
Well, we talk about gear. We talk about guitars and amps and pedals and accessories and all the crazy, crazy stuff that's out there. Specifically, we talk about boutique gear and talk
like 101s.
And we like the 101s. Yes, yeah, we just had a really good one.
That was Jared. Jared just popped in.
Where
Where's
was
Jared?
he? Where is he?
Where is he?
Well, he could not make it
He's
this
in
evening.
Nashville, not making it.
He's having dinner with the
He's
with
got
the neighbors.
a lot of new things going on in Nashville, and
Yes.
unfortunately, it's colliding with a lot of what we do. But that's okay.
Worlds are colliding.
We forgive him. And our boy Rob is still up to his eyeballs in amps
he's a busy
repairs.
guy. Yep.
Anyways, back
Anyhow,
to
so
you.
we like to talk to the people that make this stuff.
Yes.
Those are the builders of the boutique gear. And tonight, of course, is a prime example because we have Chase Gullett.
Yeah.
And he is a builder
Yes.
of boutique guitars
Yes.
In Ohio.
in Ohio. But we talk to people from all over the world.
We like to, as Mick and the boys say, shine a light on the builders that might be as yet unknown, or everybody needs to know of them.
Yes.
Those things. Okay, so we have got a great show because we've had Chase on before, and he told us all about what it's like being a builder and how he got started. We're not going to cover that so much. We're going to cover off on a lot of the new things that he's doing and new, I guess, methods, modus operandi, and great things coming out of his shop.
It's actually modus
As a builder.
operandi.
Yeah, sure, operandi. Like I said. First and foremost, let's thank a few. Well, we got just a couple of announcements. We're going to thank people. Rode. Thanks to Rode for providing our outstanding audio equipment week after week. I mean, we're going. This stuff has been doing our thing here for
50 years.
At least 200 episodes. I'm pretty sure it's been at least 200
Oh, yeah,
episodes.
easily. And this thing is flawless. It's beautiful.
All of it is.
It makes it easy. I mean, compared to, you remember the old spaghetti trap that we used to use?
I do, but to our credit, we actually figured this out before they made it.
Yes.
But they did it better, far better,
Yep.
way better.
Much more
I'm
convenient.
not putting us at the same level we accidentally came up with. Anyways.
Yes.
So thank you to Rode for that. All right. We also do want to do a quick shout out to Pedals for Ukraine. We had John Esterly and Zach from LA's Forever on last time, and they are part of this crew that is doing things. There's a large group of people involved in this. David Garrick from Effects Layouts hit me up first about it, and I'm just going to read off what they sent me because they do it better, and we'll talk about it real quick. We are a collective of effects pedal makers who have come together to raise money for humanitarian causes. Auctions are going on for handmade pedals from some very talented builders. Not only handmade pedals, but many of these are like one-offs or one series off.
One of a kinds.
One of a kinds even. Here's how it works. Well, we've gone over the here's how it works. I think it's more important to know it's there, and then you can figure out how it works, because that's kind of,
Do we have a link from the website?
You can go to Pedals for Ukraine on Instagram, and basically you'll be able to figure it out pretty easily once you get there. You can also email pedalsforukraine@gmail.com, and essentially you bid on the pedal, and the person that wins it, it's an auction, so the person that wins it will get the information. The most important thing, aside from you getting a fantastic handmade one-off, in many cases, pedal, is that these proceeds are going to 3 following charities. So they're not just, it's not going to some unknown place. They've chosen 3 of the highest rated, I guess, charities here.
Yes.
The World Central Kitchen.
Great group.
The USA for UN Relief Agency.
Another great group.
And Doctors Without Borders.
A third great group.
Yes, and what I like about this is that they are not all generalized agencies. These are the World Central Kitchen is feeding these people. The Doctors for Borders are helping these people who are no doubt suffering health crises on top of their worlds being turned upside down. And then the USA for UN Relief Agency provides everything in between. So Pedals for Ukraine, thank you so much to the builders in our community for putting this together. Go get yourself one of these pedals. Tony, you just got one.
Yes, I got one from Mr. Esterly.
Yes. And it's really cool.
Yes.
And I appreciate everybody doing that out there.
And even if you can't or don't want to participate in this auction, help out any of those 3 organizations. Even a small donation would go a long way.
Yes. All right, so let's find out what's going on in our music world this week, gentlemen. Tony Balonski is going to kick us off.
I'm going to kick it off.
Yes, kick it off.
All right, Todd. So in my music world this week, it was inspired by Don Kloss from a couple episodes ago, and he was talking about, would you rather? Do you take an old Dan Electro Convertible and either make it a wall hanger, or do you restore it, or what do you do with it?
Yep.
And I believe my response was I would restore it and play it through an amp and case.
Right.
So.
What are the odds of you actually finding that? Like, you got that locally too, didn't you?
No. It was.
You didn't get that locally, did you?
No. Yes, that's exactly what you meant. No, so I just every once in a while I just take a deep dive into various sites and see what they have available on there, and lo and behold,
that's so random.
There is a Dan Electro Convertible at a Guitar Center in Connecticut. And I know what I'm looking. It's an older one. It turns out it's probably a 1959 because of the tailpiece, which has 1 screw instead of 2. So, but anyhow,
that was the big upgrade.
Yeah, they put 2 screws in there. So I called over to Guitar Center in Connecticut, and I just asked a couple of questions about it. And for those who don't know, the Dan Electro Convertible was basically like a double cutaway Dan Electro that had a sound hole in it, like an acoustic guitar. And the reason it was called a convertible is you could buy it either as a fully loaded electronics or without any kind of electronics, but you could buy the electronics kit and install it
Right.
yourself.
It's very close to what what Fender came out with that semi-acoustic sort of Telecaster.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of thickness,
done a lot nicer.
Well,
I mean,
this this is a pine frame with wood grain masonite top and back.
It's borderline a cigar box guitar.
Well, but that's some of the beauty.
No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just giving us,
Why do you hate Dan Electros so much? I don't know, man. So anyhow, I call over there, and I had a couple of questions about it, and sure enough, it's all legit. I think that this piece there was a little bit of damage to the top, so I think it had become a donor instrument, because the original bridge. I mean, it's a convertible bridge, but I think it's from a later guitar. But all in all, it's in really good shape. So I called about it, and I said, well, it says it comes with a case. And he says, well, it's not the original case. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'm expecting it's just like a gig bag or something like that. He says, but it is. It's a 60s Silvertone ampin case. Now, for those who don't know,
which is exactly what you said you would want.
It's the weirdest thing. It's like
goofy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So in the 1960s,
I think that's a first for 250 would you rathers.
Exactly.
That you bought the exact thing.
Yeah, I mean it's weird how it happened, but in the 1960s, Sears sold Silvertone branded Dan Electros, and they were the only ones to offer this. It was a hard case that had a built-in tube amplifier with a little 8-inch speaker, and it's it's not the best sounding amp, but it's actually really cool.
For a novelty,
you can think of it.
Factor,
I mean, the sound wise,
sweet.
it's kind of like a Vibrachamp, because it has tremolo built into it. So it's got it's
tremolo built into your guitar case.
Yeah,
that's so mental.
It's crazy stuff. So long story short, or long story even longer. I said,
that's your specialties.
I said that's pretty cool. How much would it be to ship here to Ohio? And the guy gets out his coat. $20. Let's move this thing. Okay. I'll take it.
They must have weighed it.
I don't think they did, because I think the box weight or the package weight was like 50
Move
pounds.
a guitar or get shipping.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. I'm very happy with it. And, quite honestly, for what I paid for the guitar and the amp, I could probably sell off the amp and case and have a free guitar just about. Which is cool, but I've always wanted.
That's a very specific buyer.
Believe me, there's people that will buy them.
Well, you did.
Well, I didn't know it came with that case.
Yeah,
I wanted the guitar. So there you have it.
Weird.
That was my music world this week.
Well, that is exciting, and it was really fun that you got to share that immediately. Guess what I got? I thought you were joking. Chase, what's going on in your music world this week, man?
I am trying to acquire a 1974 Gretsch Country Gentleman.
A lot of Gretsch talk since our last 101 episode about Gretsch guitars.
Baldwin era.
It is a Baldwin era.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's the smirk of I can't read his smirk.
Hasn't heard that episode.
Oh, he hasn't heard it yet. Go ahead, tell us more.
Yeah.
A gentleman reached out to me inquiring about purchasing one of my guitars.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey man, I've got this. I don't know if this is something that you'd be interested in doing, but I have this cool old Gretsch that I might want to, if you'd be willing to take in on deposit for a build. And I was like, oh, well, I tend to not do that, but cool guitars are cool guitars. Tell me more.
Yeah.
And he sent over some pictures, and it's a super cool guitar. He's had it for a while. It's had a little bit of modification done to the circuitry. So instead of your tone switches, they have been converted to tone knobs.
Oh.
So now they have period correct knobs on it. So your upper switches on your upper horn have little Gretsch knobs instead of being like a switch. So if I understood it correctly,
what model is this again?
Country Gentleman.
Country Gentleman. Okay, so Tony, body style, real quick.
Is it a single or double cut?
Double cutaway
Double cut.
in walnuts.
Oh,
Yep.
I have photographs.
yes. Well,
So, I mean,
our audience can't see those, but we do
Prominently,
appreciate
I mean, when you think about like early George Harrison,
Yeah.
when he would play the big body Gretsch that had 2 cutaways.
that. That's the second mention tonight. Then.
It's brown with gold hardware.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yep. We were talking on our Gretsch 101 that a lot of times the Baldwin era Gretches aren't the best ones out there, but I mean there are some good ones to be had, and if you're looking for I think a player instrument, I think you're okay. Are those
The reason
are those
that-
the right pickups?
I believe so.
Huh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad that I asked
things to
Tony.
consider. Yes.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we talked about was the bindings. Yes, the condition of the binding was problematic in older ones. But Tony, yeah, hey, for those of you who might be interested in an old Gretsch or are trying to beef up your collection or just want to learn more about it, highly recommend. If you haven't listened already, the Gretsch 101. Tony just dumps some really great knowledge, and it was a fun episode to do. But anyways,
Yeah.
back to the Gretsch. That
So
Chase
I
is
see
looking
what
at.
you're saying, where they took the upper switch. Actually, I think they took the master volume that should be back over on the lower bout, and they put probably the pickup selector switch there. Because normally you'd have the pickup selector and then a tone mud switch up on the top side, but now you've got 2 knobs up there. You've got the standby switch down below, so that basically is like a kill switch.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got the right 70s guard.
So it's
that's
double cut, and is that just in case people don't understand? Are we talking about big like Brian Setzer style body? Is it 335 style
One's
body?
335. Yeah.
Okay. More like a 335.
Yeah.
So no, that could be a cool piece. I mean, with the modifications, I mean,
Yeah.
you could take it back if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But if you're satisfied with
That is very
how it's
pretty.
wired up,
That's kind of the thing. It's one of those, I think it's cool. It reminds me of, I had this 69 335 that I had to get rid of when I first started my business because, working capital and things like that. And when I saw that, like, it got those juices flowing. I mean, it's obviously
really
not,
beautiful guitar.
not on par with being the same thing, but it's super cool. And
I
it
think that-
reminded me of that
does
quite
that
a
have
bit.
hardware
Does
and
that
everything.
have painted F-holes or?
They are actual
Real-
F-holes.
Yeah, those
Yep.
are real ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of
which
why
is
I
cool.
liked it.
Yeah, the painted F-hole thing's not my bag. But the real F-holes, it comes with the case. It's cool. It's got all the bindings. It's got all the checking. It's a neat piece.
I like that.
So
That sounds great, man.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, that could be a really cool. Like I said, in terms of player instruments, I mean, I've owned several of the Baldwin era guitars myself, and by and large, I mean, they're okay.
Well, the upside is I know a guy who's pretty good at setting things up and making them play pretty nice.
Huh. Who is that?
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I like that. I'm just going to round this out. Everybody got new guitar stuff.
Yeah.
Or is looking at new guitar stuff.
What's up in your world this week?
Well, I finally got my Pure Salem Flying V.
Ah, yes, you did.
This is it's been an ongoing saga for everybody that ordered one, and most of all for Rick. I can only imagine the amount of email he's had to endure over this time because all those orders were put in just before everything got stuck in the port of Long Beach.
Yep.
And where containers of guitars and
So those
other
were
things-
just sitting in
they
the
were just
ocean.
sitting in
then.
the ocean for
Oh,
Well, they
wow.
were sitting on a boat.
Yeah,
They
well,
weren't in
yeah.
the
They were not
ocean.
floating in the ocean.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and there's nothing anybody could do about it. So and these were, I know Rick was doing everything he could to get these to the people and time and trying to give updates and everything. And it's like I from what I heard, he said that everybody was extremely understanding, and that's good to hear because it's not his fault. you know.
Right.
So,
Oh man, it's been tough for everybody.
And it
the
was
last couple of years.
such an incredible deal.
oh
too.
my gosh.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Hey, everybody. Next time, just sign up for his email, because then you'll get like the notification of when they're going to do new pre-orders on some of the models that he does, specifically the Bruiser and the Cherry Bomb. The Bruiser is what I got. That's the Flying V style. And then the Cherry Bomb is his take on an Explorer. And honestly, it's a killer deal. And on top of it being a killer deal, it is a great guitar. I was absolutely thrilled with what I got. The build quality is really nice for that, especially for that price. I was very surprised, truly surprised at how good the fit and finish on everything was. The only thing I'm doing, and also I ended up, it came with a gig bag, which I didn't even know. But I bought,
I might take that
like
off
hard
your hands
cases.
if you're not going to use it.
No, that's totally cool,
Yeah.
because you gave me a different gig bag for the Union Jack guitar.
Oh no, I mean I'll pay you for it.
Well, no, I'm not going to do. Anyways, we're not going to have this conversation right now.
How much you want for the gig bag?
Today on Tradio.
Yeah.
No, actually, because I have my V.
Yeah.
And I bought a gig bag for that V that actually fits my 4005 bass.
Oh.
So
Okay. Well, that's great. You can share that next time on your.
He's talking about a Rickenbacker. I was like, man, 4005.
I
Damn,
know.
Tony's living in the future.
I don't even know. He's so quick. Anyways, on Sweetwater, I ended up getting an Epiphone hard case.
And it fits perfect.
And it fits absolutely perfect. And that thing was like $100. Mm-hmm. And it is super high. It is really, really nice. I'll just put some stickers over the Epiphone thing, whatever. But I'm absolutely thrilled with it. I'm so excited because
Nobody will steal it if it's in a case.
Is it not pronounced Epiphany?
It is not a pronounced Epiphany.
Epiphony.
Yes. Yeah. So, what I am doing
Shout out to Andy Harrison there.
Yeah, what I am doing to it is putting in some Brandon Mount pickups.
Yep.
And Tony is making me my gold sparkle pickguard.
Or so you think.
Oh, I'm so excited. And got a show coming up.
There's the trade.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Yes.
I like that trade. That trade's good.
It's a good trade.
Anyhow, so thank you so much to Rick at Pure Salem Guitars, who's also been on the show in the way back. He was actually on pretty early. And congratulations to all of you who finally received your long-awaited amazing guitar.
Absolutely.
We are bypassing the 4 on the floor because you know what, Chase? This comes into, I think this is a great question for you. Timely, if you will. A timely question. Hey, I just want to say thanks from Quebec. Sorry, Quebec. I really enjoy the podcast. It makes my day go faster at work. Glad to hear that. Hey, I got a question for you guys. Could be nice to have your input on what your best guitar setup, how do you like your nut action, pickup height, neck relief, etc. And he said, I'm questioning myself, especially on the nut action. I find the company spec a little high.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people dropping the action at the minimum of the spec, which is 0.012 or 12 thousandths.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm at 0.022, 22 thousandths on the Fat E on a Gibson guitar. So this is Gibson spec. He's questioning the nut height. And just a, I guess, a general sense of, best setup advice.
So that's...
Oh, keep up the good work, he said.
Regarding your nut slots, the specs that you're mentioning actually aren't terribly far off. If your low E is around 20 thousandths and your high E is around 10 thousandths. Something you might want to check for, though, nut slots are incredibly important to how a guitar's intonation and action are going to work, but specifically the intonation. Oftentimes, the slots are cut flat or on the same plane as the fretboard without a little bit of dive off. So so think about the angle that your headstock breaks away. Gibson's breakaway headstock. Anyway, so where your break angle on your headstock is. So think about that. And a lot of times when I'm cutting a nut slot, I like to match that pitch. So you want your strings point of contact to be on the face of the nut, meaning towards the first fret.
The flat face.
Yes, the flat face. So that is where you want that string break angle to start, and you want it to be free of any burrs or something that can touch. So you want to cut that slot at an angle that matches with the headstock. Another thing that I like to do too is with the D and G strings particularly, and also with the B and A slightly, I try to match that angle so I line it up. So from the face of the nut and you're looking at your string post, and you're wanting to come to the inside edge of that. So you want that string path to be as uninhibited as possible. That's one nice thing about like Fender guitars and Paul Reed Smith guitars is that they have a straight pull headstock. Yep. So on a Gibson, you don't really have that. They want to kind of pull across the side.
You almost want to kind of fan them off and just
exactly
subtly, just a touch.
That's exactly it. And then also on the outside edge, I even sort of splay that nut slot a little bit as well. So think of it as picture like a cone. A cone's probably a pretty good way to kind of put that. So
like an ice cream cone.
Yeah. So think about like a waffle cone, right? So the tip of that waffle cone is well, the tip of that waffle cone is going to be where your face of your nut is, and then from the center of that waffle cone, you're going to point that out towards your
you're tapering it out.
Your D string and your G string and your A string, and each post specifically. But you can kind of feather that just a little bit, and you don't want to go too far. You don't want to go too little, because another thing you can kind of run into is like sitar sounds. Right. So if you hear like a little bit of kind of like an overtone, like a kind of sound in there, a lot of times what that is that strings vibrating on more than one surface. But what happens is if you cut that flat, which is the way a lot of nuts are going to come out of the factory.
That's the Hedison modification.
Yeah. So what happens is the thickness of that nut. So, on a Gibson nut, it's like 3/16 thick, basically. So you could, in theory, if that nut is cut at the opposite angle, even just slightly, your E string, that could affect the overall scale length. You could actually be 3/16 longer than it needs to be.
Oh.
And so what happens is if the slots aren't cut deep enough or that angle's goofy, as you do like your first position chords, you'll notice that your strings will pull sharp, because effectively what's happening is you're bending that string before it actually frets. And oftentimes if you're noticing that like you've got like 10s on the guitar and you're trying to set your intonation, excuse me, it's one of these fizzy waters. So you got
fizzy water burp.
So you've got these. So say you've got 10s on the guitar and you're trying to set your intonation, and your tuner is telling you that open, it's in tune, but at the 12th fret, like it's very sharp. So sharp. So easy way to remember this is sharp is short. So S sharp short. Flat is too
longer.
long, too long.
L flat, longer.
Yeah, hey, there you go. So
both have 4 letters.
Yeah. So if your tuner's telling you that it needs to go further back, and it seems like it's an extreme amount, like you're running out of room on the bridge, odds are pretty good you might want to go and double check that your nut slot is cut at that angle going down, and that leading edge where your string break angle starts is at
that's
the
a
face.
really interesting. So I'm going to boil that down a little bit. What you're essentially saying is if you have a flat cut nut slot,
Yes.
what you think is flat, if at all, it is diving a little bit towards, so it's uneven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hold out your finger and bend it, bend it just a little bit towards the actual fretboard.
Yeah.
Even though it seems like it might be flat, that string might not be me making contact until the back of the nut slot,
or somewhere in the middle. I mean, there could be several
rounded.
places. Yeah, exactly. So that's something like finalizing the slots is something I like to do at the end. Like, so after I've made the nut, I've got it cut. I've got did the depths pretty well roughed in. I've got everything kind of shaved down. Because another thing too is you don't want those slots to be like a mile deep. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this.
You usually want about half the height of the string.
Exactly. You don't want an excess of bone remaining above the string.
Yes.
Ideally,
using a bone nut.
exactly. Ideally, you want half or just slightly under half of a wound string, and for a plain string, exactly the depth.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's like ideal conditions. So because the same kind of thing, it causes extra pinch points, and
And
it
if
can
you're
cause
changing gauges, that's also problematic because now it can be sitting too high in that slot
because
or
it's not seating,
flopping around
exactly.
in that slot.
Yep.
So I think Chase brings up a good point about making sure that the slots are angled back towards,
Right.
on the tuning machine side
Yes.
of the headstock. And if you are going to try to, maybe modify your nut slots a little bit, that's actually a good place to start so that you're not cutting the very front edge necessarily at first.
Yeah, because you could actually cut too deep on accident that way.
Yeah.
Because if exactly that. You can go too deep early.
You go too deep, you start over.
Yeah. Something like that. If you're a nut is actually, it's incredible how important it really, really is if you're trying to get like as close to perfect as possible intonation and playability. Like that is a thing that I think a lot of, in my experience from talking with customers and things like that, and people that have taken things to other techs or other techs that I've had conversations with, that's a thing that I don't think is quite understood as well as it needs to be in this field. The nut slots are incredibly important.
Yeah.
And probably more often than not, you're seeing nuts that are too high.
Too tall.
Yeah, too tall.
Yeah, too tall, or they'll pinch. Guys a lot of times will complain. They'll come in and they'll be like, hey, I've got this...
Pinch nut is the worst.
It is. It's terrible. But they'll come in and they'll want new tuning machines. Like, this guitar won't stay in tune. It's got to be these tuning machines. And I'm like, it's pretty good. It's your nut slots, man. They're like, no way, man. I had so-and-so fix it or whatever. And sure enough, you go through there, you go through and you just kind of clean those guys up, get your feeler gauges out, take a couple of measurements, set your feeler gauges in as like a guide. Actually, that's a great suggestion too. If somebody's wanting to do their own maintenance, invest in a cheap pair of micrometers, like dial calipers. You can get like the digital versions, so you can take those and you can pull like a measurement of how tall your first fret is and pull it from several spots. Don't just check one, because depending on how that fret level and dress or what kind of wear you've got on that, those frets can vary a few thousandths. So like your oftentimes the E sides, your extreme sides, tend to be slightly shorter than the middle. I think it might come down to when guys are dressing the edges of the frets. I'm not totally sure why that is the case, but oftentimes I'll find the middle of the first fret tends to be like 2 to 3 thousandths taller sometimes.
Interesting.
Just a weird occurrence. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not always the case, but it happens occasionally. I lost my train of thought slightly.
Well, even
here.
if you don't want to go, if you don't have access to or don't want to get a micrometer, go to the auto parts store and get a set of feeler gauges.
Yeah, sorry, that was it.
These are like $6 on.
So that was the next
Amazon.
step. There is if you've got a little set of calipers, you can pick those up like $30, and you can pull a good reading on what your height is. Well, then from there you can get out your spark plug gauges. So just your feeler gauges that you'll get from the auto parts store. That's exactly what I use in the shop, just like Autocraft brand or whatever brand, brand X. But and then you can stack those to match what your fret height is, and then give it just a little bit. I like to give it
about
about
a couple thousandths,
about 5 thousandths extra, because it gives you like a little bit of a buffer, and then
Or take it to a professional and they'll do it for you.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Because that's the other thing too is I hear a lot about guys trying to use like welding nozzle cleaners and things to try to do these fret slots, and you really need a nice set of dedicated files that are the correct gauge to make sure that you're getting.
There are many precision instruments that go into something that is seemingly innocuous.
Yeah.
Or just non-important. Now, I think good advice is if you have had a guitar for a while, or if you feel like, man, I want to kind of change my guitar up, I feel like treating myself, doing something different, That single upgrade is probably one of the best investments that you can make on your guitar. A well done bone nut can really change how your playing is, and it's a nice thing to do for your guitar.
Well, the nut and also a professional fret level. That could be a Plek machine. It could be an experienced luthier that knows what they're doing and can level those. So think of that as like your foundation. So, the original question, the guy was asking about relief, and he was asking about action, string height, and things like that. So all of those things. So your tops of your frets being perfectly level with each other. And when I say level with each other, that's along this individual string path. I mentioned earlier there can be a variance. It could be a little tall. The frets could be slightly taller on the bass side versus the treble side. But the fact that they are level with one another along the string path is very important.
Right.
And then your nut slots, because that is your baseline. That's like your extreme. So with everything set at 0, neck, truss rods adjusted, the neck's perfectly flat, the slots are cut so that you have just enough clearance so that you're not getting any buzz there. And then from there, you can adjust everything to your liking, because the correct amount of relief depends on the player, depends on the string gauge. If you're heavy-handed, you need a little more relief. Yeah, you do mine
differently because of how I play.
You hammer on those, so you need more relief, because when you hit the strings, the oscillation pattern there, strings don't just go side to side. They actually kind of, if you look at it from the end, they sort of make like a figure 8 on its side, so like an infinity symbol.
Yes.
So as they go, they kind of come up and down close to the fretboard.
Baby.
Okay. So.
.com.
So you need a little extra relief there to accommodate for that. So if you've got a light touch, you can have a flatter neck, because that string oscillation pattern is not going to be as big because you're not hitting it as hard. If you're heavy-handed, you need more relief to accommodate for that.
Yes. I have electrocution grip.
Yeah. So if you're hitting the strings hard, you need more relief. So that relief factor is going to be based off of your playing style.
Right.
And
it's not, we're not talking about like huge variances either.
Yeah, no, it's
like when you're adjusting it for some of my guitars, like it's really
it's pretty minor,
minimal, but it's making a big difference. All that is to say, there's a lot that goes into the playability of your guitar, and if you have a guitar that you love and you want it to play better, those steps are probably the first best ones that you can take.
Yeah, absolutely.
To treat it, get a better guitar out of it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to break the bank. Those things aren't wildly expensive. A heck of a lot, more inexpensive than not playing your guitar.
It's amazing how big of a difference it makes when you have something professionally set up, because for one, the playability, but more importantly, when the intonation, when the guitar is playing in tune with itself everywhere, everywhere. It is incredible how much better that sounds. Cheap pickups sound great if the guitar plays. Well, I shouldn't say sound great, but my point is, though, is a lot of the times people think about upgrades. They want to spend money on pickups because they're like, oh, well, cool, I got a new thing. But the idea of actually getting the guitar set up properly, it doesn't feel like you did anything. Because you're like, oh no, I just spent money and I got the exact same guitar back. But then you play it and you listen to it, and the guitar playing in tune with itself everywhere, everything just sounds better. There's no dissonance in the notes.
You play it,
and it's so much
where you get, just like a car.
Yeah,
like you got to take your car and you get the alignment
and
adjusted.
that's the other thing too, fret wear and things like that. So fret level and dress, that kind of stuff, I like to think of as like rotating your tires or changing your oil. Every so often, when you start seeing flat spots, that's a great time to address that. Not waiting until you've dug giant gouges in, because at that point, when you've got these big gouges, a lot of times there's not enough material there on your frets. Exactly. Yeah. There's not enough material there that you can do a level and dress, and it's because they're so deep that you'd have to take off so much material with the rest of the frets. It doesn't make sense. But when you start seeing that wear, you start addressing it collectively, and then you level all the frets slightly, and then later on you get more wear, you level all the frets slightly, and you just kind of evenly wear that, and then that'll save you from like a more expensive refret or partial refret even. Excellent.
Well, that was a very comprehensive
pickup heights. He asked about pickup heights. That is, end user is the best way to set that. Listen to for me, I like to flip, I'll hit, like a G chord on the neck pickup, and then I'll flip it to the bridge and I'll hit them. And if one of them sounds much louder than the other one, I'll raise or lower one of those two pickups. Now, given you don't want to go to extremes where you're lowering it so much that the pickup wants to drop into the body, or it's your strings are slapping against the pickup, but it's amazing how different a guitar will sound too with just a couple millimeters of a height adjustment on a pickup, and that's a great thing for
Also,
the end user.
depending on how hard you're playing.
Yeah, well, it's a great thing for the end user to do with their own rig. Different amps are going to sound a little bit different with different guitars, and so that's something that's easy and fun to experiment with. I've got some guys that like their pickups, Strats particular. I've got two camps, guys that like them real high, and I've got guys that like them real low. I'm from the real low camp. I prefer that sound, but to each their own. It depends on what you like, and so that's a great thing for that. That's like an end user adjustment. That's
and you're not going to ruin anything,
No.
and it can always be reversed.
Yep.
Unless you drop the pickup.
Yeah, unless you drop the pickup in there, and then you got a little bit of a can of worms on your hands, but it's not bad.
But the other thing, you just don't want to go too high with the pickups,
Yeah.
because eventually, the string may not be actually touching the pickup body, but you can get it
might be
close enough.
affecting
The magnetism can actually keep the strings from vibrating.
Yeah,
like they should.
it'll deaden it. It'll try to stop it.
Yes.
Kill
Also,
your
a bit of an
sustain
issue
killer.
with neck pickups often. So.
No, you just
Robbing-
get rid of them.
Yeah, I'm dropping. I'm dropping them in the body. Oops. Anyways,
We should
Chase,
talk about that sometime. One pickup guitars.
That's a very common theme right now. It's been coming up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for a very comprehensive.
Yeah, sorry, that was probably way more, and I got on tangents.
Well, it's been a great podcast. Thanks for coming in, Chase.
No, but you answered a lot of questions. I think we touched on a lot of elements that
absolutely
are constantly needing to be addressed. Not everybody knows that. And our audience, we've got new people coming in, who people are new to the guitar, people who've been playing guitar for years and may not even heard some of that stuff. So thank you for that. All right, we've got a lot to talk about with Chase, so let's get on with this. There's a lot going on with you right now, Chase. Often,
First of all, where can people go
Tony,
to see?
I was just about to ask you to tell them that.
First of all, Todd, where can people go to see what Chase is doing?
That's a great question, Chase.
Oh, I wanted to make sure I didn't jump the gun this time. You can go to gullettguitar.com. That is GULLETT.
Double T.
Yes, just like mullet, but with a G.
And an extra
Yes.
T.
Oh, that's how you remember that.
Yeah.
Or are there two T's
No,
in
I
mullet?
remember it from Charlotte's Web. The geese said double. GLLEET. Anyways.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I just really.
Man. I'll have what he's having.
That'll do, pig.
Yeah. Or Gullett Guitar Co. on Instagram.
Okay. Yes. Both of those.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful instruments. Like really stunning stuff. So make sure you go check that out if you are not familiar with our friend Chase here. I'm sure many of you are, because I do, reference my weekly trips out
at
there.
least.
He's like, man, it's going to take me to get to the studio. I'm like, man, I make that trip like every week. Anyways,
That's true.
He's here and we're grateful. I'm really excited for him to share, because he's doing so much. Since we had him on last, which was, I don't even know I can't remember what number that was. It was a while back.
Yeah.
And you've really, truly upped your game. You made some big moves in in solidifying the future of your company. And, as your friend, sometimes I was like, oh my gosh, dude, are you really going to do this? But you did, and it's like paying off in spades. I'm really excited for you to share the things that you're working on.
It's been a lot of hard work and a lot of uncomfortableness that leads to growth. Basically, I was able to acquire quite a bit more space at the shop in Delaware, 27 West William Street, Suite C, Delaware, Ohio.
Up and coming Main Street, Delaware, Ohio.
indeed. But yeah, so we were able to acquire quite a bit more space back there. So we moved all of the building operations out there. Also built a showroom in the shop. So I have a small showroom there, which I say showroom because 3 months ago it was a showroom. And actually now, one of the steps that we are taking is...
3 months ago it was a drum room.
Yeah, that is true. 3 months ago it was a drum room. But I am now working on some steps to turn it into a content creation room. So the idea is to have kind of a setup prepared. So when good playing gentlemen and gals want to come in and throw me a riff, everything is already ready to go. So we can just flip a switch, hit record, and create content for you guys.
Right.
What about bad playing guitarists?
I do enough of that in the shop.
Let's talk about your showroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the showroom is a very cool space. There is a lot of guitars, a lot of merch. I just got some new hats in. Todd got one of those. I think you guys are going to give one of those guys out. Yeah.
Give it away after the show.
Yeah, some new stickers, which is nice. But I've also expanded into trying to let go of the reins a little bit and have Gullett Guitar Co. just be like my guitars and my service and repair work, but actually try to open the doors up and bring in some other Ohio builders and outside of Ohio builders as well into the fold. And I've started that process with pedal makers.
Yeah.
So I've got everything that Mike from Native Audio makes in the shop now. And I just acquired everything that Earthquaker Devices also makes.
Yes, the full line.
The
Just to be
full
clear, it's
line.
not all the inventory.
No, not all the inventory. The full line of both of those makers. I mean, Earthquaker even sent me some coffee beans. It was kind of cool. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've
Made
got
me feel like
a couple other builders that you've been...
worked with Clifton Guitars has a cool pedal that he has put out with Thimble Wasp, if I understand correctly.
We've got Thimble Wasp on the show.
And we've got that in the shop and one of the bonfire boosts in there too, which is kind of a neat sort of clonish pedal.
Yeah, very cool.
But
Excellent.
yeah, all Ohio guys. So those are in there. Added a spray
And
booth.
the funny thing is, you're talking about like the things that are so minimal to like the big steps that you take. So we'll just get that stuff.
That's the stuff that is important for everybody else. You know, the stuff that's important for me is the build out in the shop.
Yeah.
Let's
just talk about the hanging on that back room, the showroom.
Yeah.
You know, I've been going there for a long time, and I've been watching you build that out. And I think what you realized is that if someone's going to come to your shop and is interested in buying one of your guitars, which these are all handmade, hand designed, these are your designs, and they're not knockoffs. These are your original designs. You're still making them.
Yeah, there's some influence for sure, absolutely.
Sure.
But I have tried very hard to make sure that all of my models they stand on their own. Like you can look at them and you can clearly see like, oh yeah, you pulled a little bit of influence from this, a little bit of influence from that, but they collectively they're their own entity there. And
more often than not, you're not duplicating a previous build. So it's not like you made 10 cherry red, whatever. Yeah. It's like you really do approach each build with like, what is this guitar's personality? And I think that that's unique. And one of the things that is tricky is when you're shopping for a guitar, especially a guitar that you're not maybe as familiar with as like a Les Paul or something like that. It is an investment. You're getting a handcrafted, extremely high quality instrument, and you don't want to come into your shop. This is the conversation that we had before when it looked like it's a giant wood shop. It's like you don't want to go, hey, let me drop some money on this fantastic guitar and leave covered in sawdust.
Exactly.
So you have a space where you can go back, check out any one of the guitars that you have available with the door shut, playing the amps in the back, and really get used to like, hey, is this what I want? What do I want to change? I like this. Could you make me one that was this color? Could you make me one with different pickups or something like that? Most places you can't do that. You just simply can't do it. Not only because there's tons of people around and you don't want to plug in and play and all that stuff.
The privacy thing. Yeah.
But also, you don't have that connection, direct connection to a builder who has the time to sit there and or the desire to be able to sit there and say, dude, I want to make you the best instrument you can dream up, you know?
I want to make the best instrument I can.
Yeah.
I mean, but yes.
Yeah. Humble, Chase is a super stinking humble guy. So legitimately, he makes some very, very fine stuff. So anyways, that I just wanted to communicate that about that back showroom. And it's fun because every time I go, he's, hey, oh, look what I did here. Look what I did here. And that is not for him to pound his chest about. That's not why it's designed. He's truly designing this for people who want to buy his guitars, who are interested in finding out more about his work and his brand, and that brand is expanding beyond.
Yes, it is
the great guitars.
It is. And that is part of that kind of letting go of the reins sort of thing. So there's also some builders I've been working with to develop pickups and amps, and that is Zach and Steve. And those two guys have been crucial in helping me kind of expand into some other stuff.
Zach from Brandon.
Yeah, Zach from Brandon. Yep, and Steve from Sloan amps. And so we have been developing the Lux 18 model, which is a great combo amp. So we are using a 6v6 bass for the power section, 12AX7s in the preamp section. They're coming in at 18 watts, and it has this very usable gain stage and very usable mid sweep.
Right.
So you set everything just kind of at noon. We talked about like knobs at noon kind of vibe, and so everything kind of set from there gives you like a great baseline tone, and then you can kind of just start moving things around a little bit based on the guitar. And that's the other nice thing about that amp as well is it really gives you a transparency of what the guitar is doing. So if you plug in a Strat, it's got a different sound. It's bringing the Strat sound to the forefront. If you plug in a Les Paul, it's bringing the Les Paul to the forefront. And we've got some really great videos we've posted up of Zach from Brandon Wound doing some demos, and it's some demos with Les Pauls, Strats, some of I think he's got a Daytona and a Cobra in there with some pickups that he wound in there as well. So.
I think one thing I want to point out, first of all, you just slid into that like it was no big deal, like you're doing your amps. I'll get to that in a second. But I want to touch on that, you mentioned it being I think you said transparency, it might be something like that. There's a different, there are amps out there that are, I guess you could say almost clinical in their delivery. If you think it's like it is a no sound amp, and almost like you're going direct into something. It's because you can hear your guitar because it doesn't have any character. This is not the case. It has character, but it does such a great job. And part of that, and I want to publicly thank you for letting me in on this. Like I kind of stumbled in. I was like, hey, I'm going to come down and shop. He's like, cool, Steve's here. And I was like, who's Steve? And I show up and he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to do an amp. And we sat there and worked on that, on getting the tone for well over an hour. Oh,
it was hours and a couple of visits.
And a couple of,
It was different cabs, different speakers, different circuits.
But the thing that we put on the thing that we later kind of landed on was turn it on, everything at noon, it should sound absolutely money.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first plugged into that amp, after you got it back and we did it, I was like, wow, that's exactly what we were going for, right? And I'm so glad that you were able to get to that point.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about the people that I've been able to work with. And Zach's the same way with pickups too. It's one of those things that these guys are just a wealth of knowledge with what they're doing, and I can articulate what I want to have happen, but I don't have the skill set. I get a little out of my depth. I understand the basics of it, but I get a little bit out of my depth. I would not be able to design the pickup or design the amp circuit.
But the fight that you have is that you
that I want to.
Yeah, it's sort
100%.
Like
yeah, you've known me long enough.
If you own a motorcycle, you should know how to fix it.
Exactly.
It's going to have to happen.
That's exactly it.
But that's something else that you and I have talked about in great detail in the past.
Well, and that was the thing. I've wanted to do pickups and amps for probably close to 5 years. And I kind of had come to terms that if I was going to 100% design these, it was just never going to come to fruition. I only have so much time, and stick with what you know. I'm excellent at build. Well, I'm pretty darn good at building guitars. And these guys are excellent in their fields. And the thing is being able to partner up with them and team up with them to create something really, really great,
and it's
that we're all incredibly proud of. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's been really cool. It's been neat in a way, growing my team in that sense, and we're all very pleased with the products that we've been putting out. So
very cool indeed. So you've got a combo that you came up with, and the models are called Lux.
Yes.
And you were kind of going for the. Well, tell them about the kind of look that you were going for.
I've got a little bit of a soft spot for like some of the old hi-fi stuff, the old Marantz receivers and things like that, and
hot rods.
Yeah, and hot rods, absolutely. Yeah. So my good friend Todd here helped me out with taking a lot of pencil sketches where I would draw things out on like a whiteboard or on paper and send things over to him, and he and I worked together very closely on a lot of the design elements for the faceplate and the badging. And we had a lot of late night conversations of, well, that's cool you want to do it that way, but I really want to do it this way. And we're good enough friends, and we respect each other tremendously, and so it's good that we can have people like that can help out. So thank you, Todd. That's very sure. But yeah,
so you got the combo.
Yes, the combo, and we just did our first head unit as well.
Right.
We also have extension cabs. So there are more chassis in production right now. We are just awaiting some trainings coming from Hayboyer.
Right.
So yeah.
And what's neat about the combo and the extension cab, not only do you get more sound from a greater area if you want it on stage or something like that, but you immediately were like, I'm gonna get the right speakers in these, and you tried a bunch of different combos.
Yeah, we paired the speakers. So in the combo itself, we're going with Warehouse Guitar Speakers ET65.
Yes,
it's kind of like their version of the Greenback.
Been on the show twice.
Yeah, so they're the bottom end and the top end of that are just pristine, and they really carry the sound. And it's a great sound on its own. And in the open back cab, it really produces an excellent tone. And then for the sealed back cab, the extension cab, we opted for the Invader 50, and those two speakers pair together so well because the Invader 50 has these nice creamy mids to it. So the punchiness of the bottom end and the top end that you're getting with the ET65 paired up with that smoothed out mids of the Invader, like the tone of those two together is just it's perfection. It just sounds incredible. On the takes that Zach and I did too, we had both cabs mic'd up individually, and we could do like A/Bs, and it's so nice because you hear them together. So you guys are in studio, so you get that, like, you want to layer your sounds, and the way that those layer together it's perfect. They sound really, really good.
Killer. Now with that, you have also, so you've expanded your boutique guitar world, which you're still making tons of. You got into the amp stuff, and you've been talking about a few other things, and you working on pickups.
Yeah. With Zach. Yep.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about the pickups.
So we've been doing several models. So same thing. It's a lot of, hey, I like this, and this. And Zach will wind stuff up, and we'll stick it in the guitar, and we'll check it out. And then we'll go back to the drawing board, or we'll roll with it. And right now we've got several models that we're really, really pleased with. And one that's pretty unique that I've been tentatively calling the Gold Bars. And we came up with this idea to do sort of a combination of a blade and a screw through coil, and we topped it with some gold foil vibes just for vibes because it looks great. And it was tricky. He had to go through several different stages of trying to balance the output between the two coils because I also wanted them to split really well. And what we've come up with sounds really, really good. They're very powerful pickups. They're really loud, and when you split them, they clean up nice, and they're nice and bright without being ice picky. So
on the coils that you talk about, are you also using different types of magnets in each of those?
In each pickup there are two different types of magnets to go along, and the coils are wound differently from each other. So Zach spent a lot of time developing these. We went through 3 or 4 different prototypes before we landed on something that worked really well. And it was
sound.
Yeah, huge sound, very powerful, and they split incredibly nice. There's virtually no signal loss. A lot of times you get a big volume drop, and because of the way that we were able to engineer these, they do very powerful sounds without being too compressed. Sometimes you get like a hot pickup and everything sounds a little squished. You lose some of that kind of bloom. And with these, they're just loud. You know, they're very powerful and still clean.
They look awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a cool, very cool look. Yeah,
they're very cool.
And to the best of my knowledge, I think we're the only people doing this combination the way that we're doing it.
Yeah.
Other guys have blended bars and rods before in the past, but the way that the particular formula that we've got, I don't think there's anyone else in the market right now doing it that way.
Have you considered putting in like a rotary switch? Like some of the Paul Reed Smith models have a rotary switch, which actually, I mean, you can pick the two outside coils, the inside coils.
That's like getting in a Frank Zappa tab.
I mean, it's very complicated, but if you wire the switch right, it's really not all that difficult.
It's absolutely something. It's not something that we've experimented with yet, but it is something that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, you take full advantage, I think, of each individual coil at that point.
No, that's a great idea. It sounds like Test Mule needs to come up.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So one of the other things that I know that you've been working on with Zach is something dubbed what's it called?
The top hats.
The top hats. Yes. Well, when I talked about this on the show a little bit, the guitar dubbed Vinny that I designed with you, we originally had a TV Jones Powertron in it, which I thought I liked with the Supro. When I was playing through the Supro, I needed that bite. I needed that like extra
lots of top end. Yeah.
But then when I started playing through the Marshall, I was like, whoa, and I couldn't back it off enough.
Yeah.
So I said, I need something different in here, and we tried out a few different pickups. And then he said, well, I got this one. And I said, well, okay, let's try it out. And I plugged it in, and I mean, my neck just about broke because I looked at you with like so hard. I was like, oh my God, this is the sound. This is the sound.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, my work is done here. It was a very gratifying moment to see how and it sounded so good, because if I remember correctly, we'd gone through 2 or 3 pickups. It was like a pickup swap palooza back there. It was. So we'd gone through several of them. As soon as that one came to life, it was just like that
game over.
Bong.
Yeah. I mean, the minute the first strum, the minute that we heard it, we're like,
oh, it was perfect.
This is what Vinny was supposed to sound like the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was like Vinny got his voice.
Yeah. No, it was great.
That was super exciting for me because and this goes back to what we were talking about with your shop, is like you're really getting a bespoke experience from beginning to end. And that was the first time that I've ever really felt like I had that kind of experience for anything. And so it was extra special to me because I was like, wow, I'm getting the top shelf treatment
Well, and yours was super cool too, because which is something that I don't normally do, but you were able to actually bring your own drawings in, and like you were like, hey, this is the shape, and so that was a lot of fun too. Well, I shouldn't say that was a lot of fun. That was an interesting experience. I don't know that I would do that.
I don't think we could have done that if we weren't friends.
That's exactly it. Yeah. There's some of that stuff where sometimes it's better to give your ideas and then sort of, let your tattoo artist have their way instead of you drawing it for them.
Yeah.
And in this case though, it was really fun to do that. Yeah. And I'm glad that we could come together on it.
But if you want a Gullett guitar, then that's what you're going to get. You're not doing a whole lot of one-off custom.
There's a pretty big menu there too. That said, I can and do absolutely like full-blown custom builds. It's whatever you want. But within that, sometimes I still have to sort of like, builder's choice card comes down. There's certain things like because at the end of the day, my wife and I have this thing called chocolate covered lobster faces. Right. So
chocolate covered lobster face.
Yes. So what that is that's when you go to the grocery store and you're starving. And you leave and you've bought all kinds of stuff that makes no sense at all because all of it sounds good. And that's kind of the thing that can get you into trouble when you're working
That's my
with
salad bar analogy.
Yeah. So if you're working with somebody, you got like 10 pounds of pine nuts on top of it, and you're like, why do I even have this?
Yeah. Fruit Jello doesn't belong on a Italian salad.
Exactly.
Yes, it does.
Tony will eat it.
It's the only salad I'll eat.
But that's kind of the thing. Occasionally, you kind of got to reel some people back in. It's like, that's cool, but if we do all of that, all of a sudden, none of these really cool things stand out anymore. All the chrome makes some chrome not cool. Yeah. So it's kind of that sort of vibe. But overall though, I do very much enjoy kind of working with people to kind of bring their vision to life, and I like bringing my stuff to life. Yeah,
but that's the nice thing about working with you on the line of guitars that you create. You have you've got a wide array of shapes, styles, purposes, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. And within that, you're not locked into, you get red, black, or white. No. It's like, the sky's the limit on, start with a foundation model.
That's exactly it.
And then, really, anything is possible after that.
Yeah. Right now, I've got a Daytona build that a customer... we had talked about it initially. They talked about wanting to do like a T model kind of thing, and I was like, oh, okay,
it's kind of like a Telecaster.
Yeah, exactly. And we were kind of like, okay, I'm kind of into it, but I'd prefer to do something else. And the more we talked, I was like, what about doing a Daytona? So,
which is one of my models.
Yeah. And the thing was he's like, yeah, but I kind of want to do tops and stuff. And I'm not seeing. I was like, yeah, we can do a top. So this is kind of a fun build we're doing right now. So what we're doing is he has a family property, and they fell a walnut tree years ago, and so he literally brought in some bark still on it, walnut that he had for years and years and years sitting, and brought that in, and I milled it up and split it into some tops, and it's got some beautiful, wonderful figure in it. Very nice like curl, and it was the way that the pattern of it kind of sort of comes into a V. It was very complimentary for the body shape too. So what we're doing is we're doing a swamp ash body with this walnut from his family's property that we've now capped, and we did all the carves on it. So with the Daytona model, it's you can nudge it in more of like a slab body, or all the German carves, all the belly cuts, all the forearm cuts. And so with his, we opted for all the carves. So what's nice is with that top, I can do some of the stuff that I do with the Challenger models, where you leave some exposed edges. You can do sort of like within the German carves, we do similar to like the bevel style paint schemes, where you can have several multi-tones and, natural edges, bursts on just the tops. It really opens up a lot of possibilities.
There's a lot of
tons
opportunity
of it,
for small detail.
Exactly. Add bindings.
Creation.
I mean, all of it really is, you pick a platform and then pretty much anything can kind of go from there. So it's going to be a fun build. I'm excited about it.
So, I mean, I know you stay really busy with all your builds and now your amp line and all the other fun stuff. But, I mean, what else do you do in the shop?
So we're pretty much full service for repair work. I do a lot of setups. We do pickup swaps. We build wiring harnesses, neck resets, fret levels, refrets, all of it. And then most recently, I part of the expansion of the shop, I invested in a very nice spray booth, and having everything in one location now has been a game changer for that. My spray booth before was not excellent. It was make do with what you got kind of thing.
Well, but that's one of the neat things about your journey as a builder and a business owner. When I first started connecting with you, I'd drive out to your house.
It was like a
and
shack,
you're like, hey,
man.
come to my shop, and it was a double wide double wide garage that. Everything was in there, and you were doing it all. And then you're like, "Hey, I'm spraying guitars," and it looked like you could have been, doing some kind of weird bad stuff because it was just like plastic line shenanigans all over. Like, what are you cutting up back here?
Dexter.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much makeshift.
But the bummer part about that is that, and it was weird. As a creator of things myself, I always ended up feeling bad for you when I left, because I was like, this is a guy that's doing everything he can, working who knows how many hours, trying to craft the best product that he can with his skills, which he's got fantastic skills. And no matter how good his skills are, or how good his ideas are, he's constantly being challenged and hampered by his environment. So you're spraying, you were originally spraying guitars in a pretty ramshackle place in Ohio, which has a very crazy climate.
I was roughly 300 feet from the Scioto River, and it was two 20-inch Lasco box fans with furnace filters taped to them.
Yeah.
And an open air booth. So if you caught a big wind, dust, leaves,
someone
everything.
opened the door, it's game over.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's wintertime, you're not doing anything because it's too cold for stuff to cure.
There's like 2 weeks in the year that you could actually spray stuff.
I found out the hard way that whatever is in a bee's stinger is repellent to lacquer, because I had one fly into my spray path once and hit the finish and then drug all through this nice gloss black. So it was one of those things, and that was it. There was like this massive struggle bus like early on.
Right.
And it was exactly that. It was unfortunate because of that, because it wasn't that I was doing bad work. It was that the environment was just beating me up left and right. And so I made a really large purchase recently, and we added a very nice marathon finish booth to the shop, and so now the finishes are coming out better than they've ever been.
They're beautiful.
They're perfect, and so I'm incredibly pleased with that. It's increased my production time, it's decreased my production time, but it's also opened up a lot of capabilities because I can now spray year round. So that's another thing that I've started offering now too, is refinish work for gentlemen. I've had one local musician's brought me several EVH bodies recently that I've just done a few resprays on, and I've actually got 2 more in there I'm supposed to do some clear work on right now. So
you're able to experiment and stuff too, which is cool.
Yeah. So it's great. It's really nice. I can come, because with spray work, a lot of times there's a ton of downtime, and waiting on stuff to flash off, giving stuff a little bit of cure time before you can kind of come back to it. So what's nice is I can go over and do some work in the evening, let it sit overnight, come in the morning, spray again, and then go and do some work, and then go back in the afternoon and spray. So it's really nice. It lets me get a lot done through the week. But yeah, that's the other thing that we've been able to add to the repair shop is finish finishing services, because there's not a ton of people that I'm aware of that are doing very high quality finishes in the area. Akron, you've got Lays up there. Joel does incredible work. Just really good work up there. And Denny Kopp does some great work too. But both those guys are really, really far north. And I think in Central Ohio, to the best of my knowledge, the only other guy that was doing any finish work has recently closed up shop.
Yeah.
So you guys need finish work.
Yeah.
You know where to come
I
now.
know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I might take you up on that. I've got a project that's been sitting at my shop for the last umpteen years.
I love and hate those projects.
I'm gonna repaint Vinny. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, all right.
He's into green guitars
You've already
now.
done everything else.
No, we're gonna wait relief Vinny now is what we're actually doing.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so much fantastic stuff, and I'm truly am really proud of you, man.
And thank you very much.
Legitimately,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very proud of the progress that you've made, and these decisions aren't like, oh, I'm a big giant businessman, I'm just going to make these.
No, man,
if those
all
decisions
in.
don't go
Yeah.
right, man, it is catastrophic to your livelihood.
Yeah, it sinks the battleship, man.
Yeah.
And it is humbling sometimes. And also, man, it feels surreal. Occasionally, like, I'll be finishing up, it'll be it's a lot later than it should be. Sometimes it'll be 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm shutting the lights off, unplugging the compressor, and you look around, and then I think back to Ostrander in the garage, and thinking back, that place had literally one circuit for the entire thing, and it was also tied to the kitchen in the house, and the breaker was in the basement of the house. So I'd be out there working in the winter, I'd have a heater going or something, and then I'd kick on like a heat gun to do some binding. Next thing you know, it's pitch black everywhere, and I've got to walk out through the snow into the basement, come back out, and it just so thinking back of where that stuff came from, and how much I thought I knew, and how knowing now how little I actually did, and seeing where stuff's come. I'm humbled, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the people that have kind of stuck with me and helped me get to this spot, have recognized what I've done and have been there to help out, and it's been great. Awesome. I'm a very lucky man that my hard work's been able to pay off. So
Fantastic. Well, all right. The next thing that we got to do that makes sense is swing by Jared's unoccupied house and find out what's going on.
I haven't went toilet paper since I was a kid. Was I not supposed to mention that yet?
No, this is, well, Tony, why don't you just go ahead?
Todd.
Yes, I do. Very well.
I'm glad you do. At this point of the show, this is the apparently, I'm told by Jared, that this is the most popular part of the show.
It's debatable, but
according to Jared.
I think it's actually between that and Four on the Floor.
Yeah. But Jared would say it's this.
Yeah, Jared would.
Because
that's what he gets to do.
It's this segment we like to call Would You Rather?
That's awful.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yeah.
So this one comes from our good friend Gregory Randall, who's one of our newest executive producers.
Exactly.
He loves the podcast, and he says it always lifts me up and makes me laugh and teaches me something new.
It's like a Bette Midler song.
Wind beneath my wings.
Yes, Jared is the wind beneath our wings.
In many ways.
So he came up with this. This is a fun one,
I think so. Let's do it.
and it's an interesting. I've been to both places.
Well, just go.
We're driving down the road in the El Camino.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden it goes.
You okay?
We done run out of gas.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. Now, I mean, nobody puts a gas can in their car anymore.
No.
I mean, way back when I was a kid, you had a quart of oil, you had a gas can.
And a broomstick to check how much gas is in your car.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I had that.
That's very nice. I usually just use a match.
Yeah.
So the only thing that you have to put gas in is your guitar case.
What?
That's what it says.
So you
go down, you walk. I mean, luckily the gas station isn't too far down the road, but you go there and you get dirty looks from the guy that's inside, but you fill up your guitar case with gasoline.
Okay.
Now, I don't recommend trying this at home.
This is like one of those weird like Instagram things where you see people filling up garbage bags full of gasoline.
This is like a Tide Pod challenge, man. I'll tell you what I do. I go sit and wait for the tow truck at the drop in.
Well, that would be you,
Yes.
but you're not allowed in the El Camino.
All right.
Yeah, but Cooter's gone for the weekend. He's on vacation.
So you got this guitar case full of gasoline and you're sloshing back to the old El Camino when along comes a benevolent, rich person in a car.
Oh my.
And he realizes, he stops and says, "What's going on, dude?" So I go, "I've got the guitar case full of gas, man. I got to get the El Camino going."
Yeah.
Well, he says, "You know what? I've had a very great life.
Yes.
And I want to make your day a little better.
Uh-huh.
First, we're going to call the tow truck."
He's going to help you carry the...
He said, "Take that case, just throw it off to the side.
Yes.
We'll get some gas brought out to you."
Okay.
And secondly, he wants to say an all-expense-paid trip to a guitar, two legendary guitar shops.
Oh my.
And that includes airfare, one-night stay, and he's going to buy you one thing out of that store.
Boy, oh boy.
Now,
To be so lucky.
yes, well, this is a benevolent person.
Yes.
So the two stores, because he likes guitars too,
Yeah.
and he likes El Caminos. So he wants to send
And he's
you,
benevolent.
and he's benevolent. So he wants to either send you to Grun Guitars
Ooh.
in Nashville,
Uh-huh.
or Norman's Rare Guitars in Tarzana, California.
Yes. Yes.
Now, you don't have time to check the internet to see what they have in stock. He's saying, "Dude,
Jump in. We're
going to get you
not.
to the airport. You pick whether you want to go to California or Nashville, and you go to that store and you pick something out." So the would you rather is, which would you rather go to, and what would you get?
Oh, jeez. I just snorted.
He snorted. Now, when you think
Wow.
about it, both of these places are known for incredible vintage gear.
Yes.
Honestly, I've never been invited into George Grun's private upstairs in the new location, but I'm told that it is quite the treasure trove, and of course, Norman's has
Right.
anything you could ever want.
Oh boy, this is really tough. Jared, you are so sad you missed this one. Holy mackerel.
So,
All right. So would you rather you going to Grun's or you're going to Norman's?
and you got to
And
pick
you got
one
to pick
thing,
a guitar.
and what are you going to pick?
Okay. Tanya,
Yes.
you're going to go ahead and lead this off. I think both Jason and I are going like, what's Tony going to do?
I believe, as much as I love Grun guitars, I think I'm going to go to Norman's because, I think out of the two, they both have incredible collections of vintage instruments. But I think a lot of the West Coast players have gone there. They've gone to Norman's. They've gone to Grun's, I'm sure too. But I would say I'm going to Norman's. And gosh, Holy cow! I mean, when I think about the possibilities of what could be lurking,
anything is a really hard.
I mean, if money is no object,
I don't think money is an object.
it apparently is not. I mean, I try to find a really, really nice light 58 or 59 Les Paul standard. I mean, to me, that's
The burst.
a burst. Yes, of course. I mean, but then I also thought about, an old, 58 Explorer or a 58V, or I mean, there's so many things that you could really find. But I think in terms of a utility instrument, I mean, it's tough to beat a Les Paul standard. So
Okay.
that's what I'll find, and I'll be happy. And then I'll have a new case with it so that I can fill that up with gasoline.
All right. Chase, what are you doing?
I'm going to Norms.
Yeah.
My reasoning behind this is because we're in Ohio and I can drive fairly easily to Grooms. That's a day trip, 2-day trip.
No. 6 hours.
That's what. Well,
You must drive really slow.
Yeah.
you got to have
That's
some
a day
barbecue
trip.
while you're down there too.
Is that you've got the Amish horse and buggy, right?
Well, the last time I did a Nashville trip though, we were in Rosie, the big diesel van.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't like to go much past 70.
I gotcha.
So yeah, the time was a little long on that last trip. But yeah, so I would go to Norm's, and a guitar I would love to try to find is an Arnold Hoyer map guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Why don't you
yes.
explain that for everybody else that didn't go, oh, yeah.
Okay, so you guys have seen like the national map guitars and things like this. So Arnold Hoyer, weirdly enough, Randy Bachman,
Explain what a map guitar is.
funky shape. It's been redone by like Eastwood and Airline and stuff like that, but it's kind of
Continental U.S.
yeah,
Map of the-
yeah.
of the-
no, not map like that. Not like the
No.
Gibson map guitar.
No.
Hang on, I will find a picture because this is going to be hard to describe. It is so Arnold Hoyer was a German luthier, and years ago he no longer makes guitars. But so it is a map guitar, but done up like if you had like an alembic or something. So it's tons of fancy wood, lots of bird's eye maple.
Okay.
It's very cool. German carves throughout. Weirdly enough, Randy Bachman, a Bachman Turner Overdrive,
Yep.
has one of the largest collections of Arnold Hoyer guitars.
He also, as I found out, has an incredible collection of Gretchens.
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I would have known.
That is so weird.
If I would have mentioned that on our Gretsch episode. I just kind of found that out. There was a big showing of all of his Gretsch stuff.
Boom.
This is a Hoyer.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is
Find me
very
another one
cool.
of those.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's one of those like holy grail things for me kind of thing. Just super cool. Never seen anything like it. And I think that's a very cool. I think if there was somebody that would make something similar now, it'd probably be like TK Smith or something. It's kind of in that
Oh, I can
little
see. Yeah.
little bit.
Or
Up.
it could be a new Gullett model.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's a little bit. That's a guitar that I would draw influence from, but isn't necessarily what I would build.
Yeah.
Another holy grail instrument would be one of the Wonderland series acoustics from Parsons.
Not familiar with that.
Makes incredible stuff, and if I remember correctly, too, I think he's a California guy also.
Okay.
Well.
What
that
about
leaves just
you,
me.
Todd?
I've been sitting there racking my brain, like, what am I going to do? I think, well, I would go to Norm's.
Yeah.
I've been to Grunes.
Yep.
I haven't been to Norm's, oddly enough, because I'm from the West Coast. Didn't know about it when I was there. Derp. But I think it's a little bit more of a, for lack of better terms, rock-oriented instrument store. And
That's fair to
like,
say.
you could have either one. I understand that
Yeah.
the instrument doesn't. But anyways, you know what I'm saying. And I think what I would love to get is I would get a black Gibson Les Paul, vintage Gibson Les Paul with the with the staple P90s.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so like
I don't know what it is about that, but I just like I love.
Is that 54?
It would be early.
Yeah.
It's an early,
50,
Yeah.
52,
So
54.
I would look for that. I don't know why that particular thing intrigues me, but I mean, that's the only thing I've.
So you want a Les Paul custom 2 pickup with staple pickups.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty rad.
You know what's interesting about those?
No.
The tops and the backs are both mahogany, whereas typically the Les Paul would have a mahogany back with a maple top.
Oh.
The Les Paul Customs, the early ones especially, had mahogany all the way through.
Interesting.
And that's why sometimes they can sound a little bit better.
Well, I think that would be pretty special because I will never in a million years, I'll probably never even get to own, an old Les Paul at all. So that would be the thing that I would do.
I weirdly don't like Les Pauls.
I don't think that's weird.
I don't like the way that they sit because I sit and play a lot now.
Okay.
And I don't hold my guitar in like a classical position. So I'm right-handed and I set the bout on my right leg, and I feel like nonstop with Les Pauls, man. I feel like the whole thing's just trying to fall off my leg. I weirdly would rather sit with a Flying V than a Les Paul.
Yeah, I wouldn't sit.
Or an Explorer.
I wouldn't sit.
Explorers are very comfortable guitars to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Anyways, I think I'd probably do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. My second, if that wasn't available, I know this wasn't a thing, but if that wasn't available, I would get myself a Black Falcon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think that would be, but just because it's an old one that I've never possibly.
Yeah,
I think a Black Falcon would be pretty sweet.
That would be cool.
Anyways, all right, that was super duper fun. Great suggestion from our dear friend sending that in.
Yes.
All right. Oh well, next we got some people to thank.
Oh, do we now, Todd?
Let's do it.
No problem.
I guess at this point of the show, this is where we like to thank a special group of people. And these would be our executive producers. Now, a lot of people know what an executive producer is, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. Executive producers make this podcast possible. They are patrons, sponsors of this very podcast. How can you become one? Oh, you just go over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs and check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate. Become, a sponsor, a patron of this podcast. One of the really cool things, in addition to all the great thank you gifts that you get, what is that, Chase?
You get your name read on the thing. That's a poor Jared voice. Let me do it again.
Do.
Yeah.
It'll do.
You get your name read on the thing.
Get your name read on the thing.
Yes. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, Drew Lopez, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mikey D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Sanchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, David Poe, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall. He just gave us a nice little.
Yes, thank you for sending that in.
Thank you very much. Oh, and Brett Hogarth.
Yes.
Who would? We can't forget Brett.
No.
So stop interrupting me, Todd. Because there's another group of executive producers. We call them our grand poobahs. These are the top of the heap, the creme de la creme of executive producers. They hang out on the penthouse suite in their hot tubs filled with some unknown orange liquid.
Yes.
And they wear a fez upon their heads to signify their significance. What? Signify their significance.
That's what they do.
That's heavy, Pee-wee. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tom Emanasco, Ricardo Igreda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, Ellis J Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Novak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. and Eddie Serratos. Thank you.
Indeed. You keep the thing moving. You keep the show going. You keep our hearts warmed.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Chase, where can people find your stuff?
At 27 West William Street, Delaware, Ohio.
Or on the internet at
GullettGuitar.com. That is GULLETT.
Double L double T.
LLTT. Guitar.com.
And on Instagram?
And Instagram at Gullett Guitar Co. That's my handle.
Right on.
10-4, good buddy.
And Tanya?
Go over to pickguardian.com. Check out the stuff that I do. Let me know what you need, because I do custom work.
You're always coming up. You always have new kinds of awesome materials.
I try.
Yeah.
Material
he's got some
stuff
real
has
cool
been
stuff.
so crazy these past couple of years. But anyhow, shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do. I might even have a little good advice for you, because I've probably done it before.
Yep.
I'll take very good care of you.
Indeed. You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at guitarknobs. We'd love to hear from you. Please continue to send your awesome letters and notes, as well as your would you rathers. We'd love to read it off for you. Chase, I want to say thank you for
Indeed.
joining us in studio. With the amount of work that you have to do on a daily basis, I know that this time is valuable, and I appreciate
That's all right, man. It was a pleasure to be here.
Good. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe!
Oh, yeah. And I was like, you need Paris Hilton. Like, that's hot. And I was like, oh, no. At some point in there.
All right, here we go.
Do it. What is that, Chase?
You get that name drop. Is that not fun?
You swarthy bastard.
You foul-mouthed sailor.
Yes. It's
It's a different animal.
It's a different animal. Yeah, it's weird and wonderful.
Okay.
I just shut it, Tony.
We'd be out
Tony!
of here. We'd be out here by 10
Tony!
o'clock.
Hey, I've got a moment of panic real
Oh
quick.
man.
I don't
What?
know if I locked my car.
You better go lock that.
I better go
It'll be
lock
on
that.
blocks and
I'm serious.
yeah. You got a bag of crack in the back?
Inverness green is the color of
Of my true love's teeth in the morning.
of,
I'm already 5 badump bumps in.
you gonna use that name drop? That was such a good name drop.
We could do them both.
It was so good. I was like, oh.
Of the whole thing, I'm glad that you were proud of the name drop part.
I was like, that's solid gold.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.